this is Melissa Lainn, and you're listening to the LifeKraft Podcast, where we will be bringing you new insights, awareness, and tools to create a fulfilling life. Hello and welcome to today's episode of the LifeKraft Podcast. My name is Melissa Lainn and I am an integrative nutrition health coach. And today I'm going to be talking to you about a topic that's very dear to my heart and that I'm very passionate about, and that is ditching diet culture. So before we dig into this episode, I just want to remind you that we absolutely love hearing from you. So be sure to subscribe to our channel, share with your friends, take a screenshot of yourself listening to this episode, and let us know what your biggest takeaway was, what inspired you to live your everyday life better, or what motivated you to perhaps make a change in your own life. So let's dig in to diet culture. What is diet culture? That's where we've got to start, because sometimes it seeps in the most subtle ways into our lives. So just a little bit of a backstory. I absolutely grew up immersed in diet culture. I grew up seeing women that I loved really going through hard times because they bought into the whole idea of diet culture. They restricted food. They really punished their bodies. They were very disconnected from their bodies. They didn't understand the physiology, food, and mental health was put on the back burner. To look a certain way, to fit into a certain type of clothes, to be accepted because of how you looked. And that's what diet culture is. It's a belief system that focuses on weight, shape, and size over holistic well-being. And it usually leads to restriction and rigid eating and fitness patterns under the guise of health. But it's actually about size, weight, and shape. It's not about health. So that's how you can distinguish true health, like a pursuit of health, compared to a pursuit of weight, size, body shape. And the bad thing about the diet industry and diet culture at large is it usually, almost always, leads to eating disorders. So whether it's binge eating, anorexia, bulimia, or orthorexia, which is an unsafe obsession with healthy food, that one's tricky because it seems like you're doing the right thing, but you're actually still obsessed with it. It all leads to a real low quality of life. That's how I see it. If you're stuck in diet culture, you are not living your highest life. And that's why I want to talk to you about this today. Many diets creep in to mainstream living, and diets weren't really designed for that. I know something like keto was made for kids with epilepsy, and the whole gluten-free trend that actually came from celiac disease, where their small intestine and their gut bacteria couldn't deal with the gluten in the food. And some other way, the diet industry has formed so that people take these diets, the master cleanse, which was also really made just to cleanse the body. And that was made for people with chronic illness. They take all of these things and they package it in a way to make us believe that if we do this, we will lose the weight, we will be the size, the shape, the whatever that will be acceptable. And diet culture is such a dangerous thing to fall prey to. I know in my own life, I did as well. I went on to my first diet when I was 9, and it was the first time that I became aware of the shape of my body equals how acceptable or not acceptable I am. That's how my little brain, which is a meaning maker, saved the whole experience. And I can remember when I got into high school, I went up a size for the first time in years, and a very well-meaning adult in my life had quite a strong reaction to just me needing to go to a bigger size jean. And I remember that's when my obsession with food started, counting calories, counting kilojoules, working out more than my body could handle, feeling insignificant, looking at my body in a different way, not just being in a body, but actually looking at different parts of my body and assessing whether it's acceptable or not compared to whose standard. That's the question. So that's what diet culture did to me. I was stuck in restriction. I was stuck in purging. I was stuck in binge eating disorder. I went for years like drinking coffee and on energy drinks and trying to get as little as possible calories and kilojoules into my body to look a certain way that people wanted me to look. And I started becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then I would balloon out again because I would binge and I just let everything go for a while. And then I just carry on. And that whole famous phrase in your mind of, I'll start on Monday. I'll start on Monday, or there's some other special occasion. There's a wedding, there's a function, there's a certain date, there's something that I need to lose weight for, get fit for, fit into a bikini or a dress or a certain size jean for. And that was my life until I reached my late 20s. And then I started realizing I can't go on like that, but all of that disordered way of eating, that diet culture that was just my entire life, caused massive, massive harm to my health. And the entire time I linked the size of my body to health. And I thought the smaller I am, the healthier I am. The further I can run and the more I can exercise in a day, the healthier I am. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. It's not true at all. And my body started showing me that these diets that I was following, the restriction that I was putting it through, the kind of punishment that I gave it when I ate a cookie or I had a pizza or I did something that I considered bad or wrong was just unfair, and it was really taking its toll on my body. And this is just a little bit of my own experience, but I promise you every single person, man or woman listening to this has been through it. There is such a stigma around our bodies that I can't even understand, because how does the vessel that we came into this world in determine our worth at all? How does the gravitational pull on a mechanism like on the earth, your gravitational pull on the earth, and then a mechanism reads that, which is a scale, determine your worth as a human being, whether you are worthy of being dated or not, whether you are worthy of attention or not, whether you are worthy of wearing certain clothes or not, whether you are worthy of a job or of some other title or not. And I know those things were going through my mind, and that's why when I started learning how to heal my mind, heal my body, heal my life, I realized that diet culture is one of the things that needs to fall, not only to heal from disordered eating, but to heal your mental health and to heal your physical health. So I'm just going to let you know of a couple of points that I have noticed as a health coach of why diets don't work. And the first one is it's not focused on the individual. Diets really try and let you believe that this is the one way that's going to work for everyone. And I think that's where the trap lies. And subtle diets, they aren't like that. They'll say, no, but like if this resonates with you, you should do it. But it's still filled with restriction. It's still around those three things: size, weight, shape. Anything that focuses on your size, your weight, and your shape more than it does your holistic well-being, your holistic health, is diet culture. So what I focus on as a health coach, that's what I was taught in the modality that I learned from, is bio-individuality. Every single person is made up in a certain way, has certain needs, and it's going to change throughout their life. So from how your gut bacteria works to where you live, your DNA, your ethnicity, your food intolerances and food sensitivities, all of that makes up you, the individual that needs to be looked after as an individual. And the thing that shows you the most what you need and what works for you or what doesn't, not what's good or bad, just what works for you in regards to food and fitness and lifestyle, and what doesn't is your body. And that brings me to my next point. Diet culture disconnects you from your body and the messages that your body is giving you. So if you are restricting the whole time, if you're very disciplined with your body, but in a very unhealthy way, in a way where it's kind of like punishment, like you ate the donut and you have to go for a 2-hour run, or you had a big plate of food, you had a big meal, and so you skip breakfast just because you're trying to cut back. Those types of things are terrible for your body. When your body's really tired on a day and you still go for a heavy exercise because you're scared to lose progress, in inverted commas, those types of things disconnect you from the messages your body is giving you. And that's where the biggest problem lies, because your body is made to communicate with you. Your body is a sensory mechanism. That's all it does the entire time. Have you ever thought about it? The way that you go through this world, the way that you know what's going on around you in this reality is through your body's senses of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. It's amazing to think about it like that. So if you get into a modality, I don't care what it is, any type of modality that cuts you off from the messages your body is sending you, you're going to have a problem. Now, I know you may be thinking, but Melissa, I can't always trust my body because it's sending the messages that it wants chocolate, and I don't want to give it chocolate because it's not very good for me on a daily basis. I get that. But you have to get to a point where you don't have the chocolate because you're on a diet, but that you don't have the chocolate because you're nourished, you're not craving it anymore, and you don't want it now. You can have some sometimes, but you don't need it. Your body isn't ruling your mind. Your mind can make a decision without your body throwing a tantrum. But it can't if it's always restricted. It can't if it's malnourished, and it can't if it's not healthy. The healthier your body gets, and the more you're in tune with the messages your body gives you, the more you can trust yourself. And that's one of the things that the diet industry has taken away from us, trusting ourselves, knowing our bodies and trusting the messages that we get. Another reason why diets just don't work and why diet culture has to fall is it really does lead to eating disorders. You always risk developing an eating disorder when you are stuck in diet culture. The constant calorie counting, the constant weighing and measuring of yourself, the constant obsession with the weight, shape, and size of your body can lead to disordered eating and having a really bad eating disorder. And so many stats show that even just talking to your daughter when she's a teenager about her weight in a very critical way can lead to her developing an eating disorder later in life. And I think we need to change that narrative, because if you're stuck in an eating disorder, you know that it rules your life. And diet culture does exactly the same, just in a lesser way. You're absolutely obsessed with food and with your body, while there are so many other things that you could be doing, could be focusing on, and should be worried about. Not just the way that you look. So the diet industry has so tied the way that you look, your size, your weight, etc., to your worth. And that usually leads to feeling like you need to gain a sense of control in a certain area of your life because it feels so out of control. Things like, I know, bulimia and things like binge eating disorder, they all come from just gaining a sense of control over your environment. But that is going into such an unhealthy direction. You're never really dealing with the root cause of your issue. You're just masking it with your obsession with food, your obsession with weight, your obsession with fitness. So that's another thing. Another thing about the diet culture and the diet industry is it leads to weight stigma. There is no perfect body type. There is no perfect weight. It changes the whole time. You are not the same person you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. You were allowed to change. Why aren't our bodies? Why isn't our weight? And I think I've noticed throughout my life, and especially when I started coaching, the pain that is caused by weight stigma, even till this day. I want to believe that as a collective consciousness, we're a bit more woke than judging someone for their weight, judging someone for having more or less weight than you, but it still has not changed that much. I think I'm lucky because the circles that I move in are very understanding and they're very open-minded, and they understand that weight and who you are have got nothing to do with each other. But it's still used as an insult. It's still used as praise. You have to stop complimenting people when they gain weight around their bottom or when they lose weight. You don't know why they lost the weight. It could have been because they're bulimic. That's why they look so good. It could be that they lost a loved one and they have no appetite for life for a while. It could be something negative. And this whole stigma around complimenting people on how they look, on their weight, on having gained or lost weight needs to stop. It's just fueling diet culture. Weight stigma needs to stop. You're so much more than that. You're so much more than that. Another reason why diets don't work is because it can make you feel like a failure. If you have been on yo-yo diets and roller coaster diets like I have when I was younger, you know that feeling of failing when you eat something you shouldn't have, when you did not get to X amount of number of workouts in a week, etc., etc. Whether it's your very well-meaning, sometimes personal trainer or someone who's helping you in the diet or a loved one that's kind of trying to motivate you in a negative way by saying, why didn't you do it? You could do so much better. Next week you'll do better. No. That's just so terrible because it just leads to you feeling like more of a failure. There is no right or wrong way to go about life. And food and the way that you feel about your body and the way that you eat is just part of life. You're still figuring it out. You have to have grace with yourself. You have to understand that you're not a failure for eating a freaking donut. You're not even a failure for eating donuts and stuff for years and years and years. You were doing the best you can with the knowledge you had. And a lot of times things like trauma, things like unhealed childhood hurts, things like control issues, anxiety, depressions, these mental illnesses and diseases that we struggle with cause us to not make the best decisions when it comes to our weight. Sometimes life is really hard and we find comfort in the food that the food industry created to make us feel better. And I think we need to stop seeing people that struggle with their weight and with food issues and stuff like that as being failures. I get so super emotional just talking about it because it's so close to my heart. You didn't fail. You're just trying your best. And sometimes your best is not as good as it was the day before. And your best is not as good as it was New Year's Day. But you're still trying your freaking best with everything that's going on around you, your whole past, your whole future that you're worried about. You're still a holistic human being. You're more than your weight. You're more than what's on your plate. You're more than the size of jeans you wear. You're not a failure for not fitting into or keeping with a weird diet that was created by someone. You're not. So that is something I'm very passionate about. And then lastly, diet culture always overpromises and underdelivers. I don't care what diet it is. It's not going to help you as much as healing your relationship with food, getting to know food, and living like your best life is ever going to give you. No diet will ever give you what taking back your power when it comes to your body, food, and your body image is ever going to do for you. So Now you might be thinking, okay, Melissa, diets suck. Diet culture is not for me. I need to break out of this, but I don't know where to start because maybe like me, you grew up in a household that was also immersed in diet culture. You might still be surrounded by friends and family members and loved ones who still give you a little portion of food because you're a girl and you're supposed to be thinner and smaller than men because they're bigger and stronger than you. You might still be stuck in a relationship where your partner looks at you and asks when you're going to go to the gym because your jeans are tightening. You may be stuck at a workplace where people don't treat you as well because you may be under or overweight, according to their standards. I get it. I've been through most of those things, and I've got a couple of things that I want to suggest to you to start moving away from diet culture. And I know that if each of us do this in our own lives without making a big hoopla about it, just carrying on, just being, just living, not believing and not falling for diet culture anymore, the next generations don't need to go through what we went through in regards to diet, body image, food, obsession, eating disorders. So that's my aim. Not even just for me, but for you guys and for the next generations. We can do this. We can end diet culture. Absolutely. So, first off, get help. Don't think that you can go through this alone. I tried to for years, but I fell back into my patterns because it's a lot bigger than just you making a decision. Your body literally gets addicted to not only the habits that you form, but also to the foods that you eat. And then sometimes you don't see your own blocks. You don't see your own traumas. So get help. If you can't afford someone like a coach, which I really recommend, coaching not only has changed my life because I am one, coaching has changed my life because I've had them. Coaches are amazing to just get you out of that feeling of stuckness in any area of your life. So get a coach. They're going to bring up some stuff in you. You're going to go through a few things, but it'll always lead you to the highest version of yourself. Next up, find a mentor. Look about your life and see who looks like they have food freedom and just observe them for a while. Get books about intuitive eating, about ditching diet culture, and then listen to podcasts that talk about these things. Literally Google it, study it, learn from people who have been where you are and have overcome what you want to overcome, because then you can just follow in their footsteps. It's one of the most amazing things that this technological age with the internet has given us. Access. You have no excuse. There are so many people who have been where you are, stuck in diet culture, stuck in diets, overweight, underweight, unhealthy, unhappy, and they have learned how to get themselves out of that. And even if you don't do what they did exactly, because usually they won't want you to, they'll empower you to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. So seriously, consume and see other ways of being. It is such a powerful tool. If you don't know where to start, find me on Instagram. I'll send you a couple of book recommendations and I'll point you towards a couple of people who have inspired me along my journey. Next up, clean up your social media. Clean up your environment, clean up. If you are following people who are promoting diet culture, disordered eating, unhealthy body image, you are going to be stuck in it forever. Start following people who empower you. People like Pink and Jamila Jamil and people like Gabby Bernstein and people who are changing the narrative, Mel Wells, people who change the narrative when it comes to how you should look, how healthy you should be, etc., etc. And those are only a few of the people. I've had amazing people's books that I've read, podcasts who I've listened to, webinars who I've joined, courses who I've joined, just to learn how to live life free of an obsession with food, free from diet culture. So seriously, clean up your social media feed first of all. What are you consuming? What movies are you watching? What type of people are you surrounding yourself with? People who speak negatively the whole time. And that's my next point. You have to change the narrative. The way you speak about food, about weight, about fitness, it has to change for you to get out of diet culture. It's going back to that thing where I said, you can't compliment people on their weight anymore. I promise you that individual is so much more than their weight, even though it might look like it was such an amazing thing that they did. Compliment the mindset that got them there, if it was for health reasons. Compliment their kindness. Compliment how they make you feel. Compliment their energy. Compliment an achievement that they made in a field that's really difficult, like a woman in the business world or a man being vulnerable. Compliment that. Stop complimenting people on their weight, on their size, or on their shape if you want to start moving out of diet culture. And then lastly, find your why. Dig a bit deeper. Why do you want to be a certain size? Why do you not want to allow your body to change as you change? If you're a woman, your body is going to change from being a teenager to being a young adult, to maybe getting married, or maybe traveling the world, or maybe starting a business. The body that you have as a CEO is not going to be the same body that you had as a toddler. It's going to change. The way it looks is going to change. Why don't you want to allow it to? What are you so afraid of? What are a few extra pounds going to do to you? What if you are not as toned as you were in your 20s? What if you went through an illness and you can't exercise and you're dependent on certain foods to eat? Why are you so afraid of looking less than what society deems acceptable? Dig into that. You'll find amazing insights. You'll find that you feel not good enough. You'll find that you think you don't deserve love and attention. You'll find that you don't think you can wear certain clothes or have a certain job or ask someone else or go to that destination where you want to wear your bikini or all of those things. And who says? All of that is just made up. It's just made up. So if people are just making things up, why can't you be the person that makes it up for you and your life? You have literally like a blank canvas that you can paint your entire experience on when it comes to food, health, wellness, how you feel about your body, how you move in your body, what you feed your body. You can just from scratch build up an entire new way, an entire new narrative, how you treat people, how you speak about people in regards to their weight and their size and their everything. My advice is just don't. But you know those internal dialogues that you have. You can change that entire narrative. You have the power. But you've got to take it back by ditching diets. And then I just want to add, one of the things that really helped me was joining a community. Whether it's an online community, whether it's a community in my area, or whether you're the person to start the community. Start surrounding yourself with people who are so much more than the food that they eat and their bodies. Start spending time with people who speak kindly about other people, who really want the best for people, who are pursuing health, longevity, vitality, brain function, who are looking to create a culture of health and wellness, who look after their mental health, and really their bodies and the way they look and the food that's on their plate is kind of secondary because they're not consumed. It's not an obsession. It's not something where fear has crept in. It's amazing. And if you don't know where to start, join my community. Join the LifeKraft community online. I really try and create an environment where people can feel like wherever they are on their health and wellness journey, you're welcome. Come heal here. Come spend time here. It's safe and you can work through your stuff until you reach the highest version of yourself. And it's possible. Diet culture is one of the things that I think has cost so many people so many amazing experiences, so much joy, so much adventure, and it really blocks our freedom. And as human beings, the one thing that we really want is freedom. And diet culture will always keep you away from the freedom you deserve as a human being. So let's ditch it. Let's live life as free as we possibly can be, mentally, physically, spiritually. I hope that this has meant something to you. I'd love to hear your thoughts around this topic. And if you feel like someone needs to hear this, send the link to them and spread the word. Let's ditch diet culture. Hope you have a beautiful day further. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to share your takeaway or something you heard that motivated or inspired you, we would love it if you would subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and tag @LifeKraft on Instagram. Also, feel free to let us know who you'd like to see appear on this show in future. We enjoy bringing you interviews from experts and everyday people so that they can talk about their experiences and share information, tips, and what has worked for them on their journey towards a better life. However, remember that the opinions or advice of our guests and myself, the host, should not be taken as personal, actionable advice and is given as general information and education only. Please always remember to consult a qualified professional before implementing any medical, financial, legal, or other advice that you believe might work for you. LifeKraft is not responsible nor liable for your decision when implementing anything you hear on the podcast. Please listen and act responsibly. The opinions of our guests do not represent the opinions or views of LifeKraft or Melissa Lainn personally and are meant as information and general education only.